you need to figure out your why before your how. So because if your plan doesn't motivate you, then you're not aiming high enough. You've just chosen a boring plan because maybe you're somebody who wants security and you don't want to go through rejection or failure, and maybe that's what you're scared of. This is what self-development will teach you about what are your values, what's driving you. Remember we talked about your subconscious. Your subconscious is, that was an episode. If you missed it, please tune in for Food for Thought on Y Media on Facebook or YouTube. We did a whole episode on your subconscious, and it's programmed from the time you're born to the age of 7, and you're really in a hypnotic state where you're just taking it in based on your surroundings. So what your parents say, what your siblings do, what society you live in, everything you're just taking in, and those are the values that is driving you as an adult. So for example, so if you're not taking risks, but you have these conflicting values where you want to achieve great things, but then you are risk adverse. Well, then you're going to go nowhere because you're in a deadlock. But you're not aware of it unless you start understanding what are the meanings to the things that you value. What is your belief system? Don't just assume it's there and it's what society is. No, figure out what they are and what they mean to you. But when it comes to your plan, figure out what your why is. It's got to be compelling enough to make you want to do something. Why do you want to do something? What is that? And then you figure out your how. Because if your why is big enough and it moves you from an internal force, not just like, oh, it's nice. Like it actually moves you. Like you can feel the blood rush, you can feel your breathing change because it's such a compelling reason why you want something. Then you'll figure out your how. And then of course you need to figure out what your strategy is, because you need to have, everybody needs a strategy. And like what you said, yours was a perfect example, right? If your goal is one thing but your strategy is completely off, you're not going to get to your goal. And that's definitely, like, for example, weight loss. We talked about that. So if I'm not measuring where I'm at and I say, oh, I just want to lose weight, but then I'm not specific how much weight and what time duration, and then I'm not measuring it, and I'm also not active enough, or I'm not figuring out what I'm eating and all of that, then I'm obviously not going to get to my goal. But it also means that my plan wasn't compelling enough for me to do anything about it, because I didn't figure out my how. I don't have a strategy. If I just say, oh, I'm going to just do what feels good, or like, oh, I'll just limit my calories, it's not enough. It's not enough. You also don't want to go into a deficit where you're losing essential vitamins and your hair is falling out and your skin gets really bad because you're just not feeding yourself. So you have to have a proper strategy of how you're going to get there. And then of course you want to be able to measure very frequently, where am I at? Where was my benchmark? What's my goal? Where do I want to go? How far have I come? These are all measurements, because if you're not where you need to be, then you need to adapt what that plan is, and you need to, and that's something that's ongoing with everything, not just with work, not with just, even with your relationships, right? You have to be able to actually consciously think about things and put your energy into it. And so I would have to say, you got to have that plan after you figure all this stuff out.
I think that word will always be very important for you, plan. I'll give you a very quick example. If someone is sitting in Toronto and they say, I'm going to go to Tokyo in the next 24 hours, what are you going to take? Are you going to take bus? Of course not.
Yeah.
You can't travel in 24 hours.
Are you going to swim?
Are you going to swim? Thank you. Thank you. It's going to take all your life. Swimming from
Get on a bike?
Get on a bike? Toronto to Tokyo? No. Thank you. Thank you for that.
I exaggerated those answers, but yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right, because sometimes we don't even think it through,
Yeah.
and we come up with these absurd answers and strategy that just doesn't even match what you want to do.
Yeah, you're right. So somebody could be, planning to go, but plan it the right way. So we all have limited time on this earth. So just in case we are 15, 25, 30, 35, 40, whatever age group we are. So we need to plan, okay, if I'm, say for instance, I'm 35 right now. So we're talking about 35 to 45. So if I'm 35 right now, what will happen for me when I reach 40, 45, 50, 55, 60, 65? Plan every 5 years. And then I think I try to plan it for our business as well. And it's worked well up until now. Not exactly there, but more or less it has worked very well. So I always try to plan 5 years for my business and 5 years for my life as well, personal life. So I plan both these things. So plan in your fives, whatever age group you are, plan in your fives that this is where I want to be at 40, from 35 to 40, 45, 50, 55. So planning is very important, because the next 24 hours given to me, I could be riding a bike, and after 24 hours, I could be just in Toronto. And I asked Ramona ji, where are you? She said, I got just 24 hours, and I picked up this spacecraft, and I'm almost this million kilometers away from Earth, enjoying this space, and I'm looking at stars, and it's a beautiful world here.
And I have a phone that works in space.
In space. She has a phone that works in space, and because she made the best possible use of her 24 hours, she had a plan for that. She bought a ticket for a spacecraft, and here I didn't plan it, I didn't buy that ticket, and I was thinking I'm going to reach stars, I'm going to do this big, but I'm just riding around a bike here in the next 24 hours, because I didn't plan for that. Or I could be just walking on a street. So planning is very important, just in case you want to know how your next 24 hours will be, how your next 5 years or that would be. So planning is very important.